The array of changes in the digital marketing landscape in the year 2023 is a lot, from brands going more aggressive with their advertising spend to increase customer acquisition and increase brand visibility, to the rise of influencer marketing, more so for social commerce brands, all the way to marketers now utilizing artificial intelligence tools like ChatGPT. The new era of digital marketing is arising. And with my 7 years of experience in the digital marketing landscape, and upon research into this topic, which resources are linked below if you're interested, here are my top 10 most impactful changes in the digital marketing landscape for us to better adapt into the year 2024. Starting with Google's AI generative search engine results. So if you're not aware of by now, Google is implementing a massive change on its search engine results page by what at the moment they're calling SGE, which stands for Search Generative Experience. It's essentially doubling down on their focus of meeting a user's expectation when they're researching for a particular topic or question in mind. And what it actually entails is making sure the results page is a lot more interactive and there's more of a visual element to it. I'm sure they're taking inspiration from platforms like OpenAI, more specifically ChatGPT and its integration with DALL-E, which is an AI generating image tool. When you think of Google search, it's really AI driven, it's algorithm based, which really just means stacked logic and conditions for a specific output using the data that Google has, which obviously there is a lot. I actually think Google is more of a data company than a tech company. They really want to double down on one of their focuses with search, which is to meet the user's intent, whether that's helping them answer questions a lot more quickly or provide more reliable information or help them compare different products when they're doing their online shopping. Hopefully the changes coming to the results page will help with that, essentially helping users have a more seamless user experience to meet their intent. Next is branding first and advertising second. In 2024, the concept of branding shouldn't be an afterthought. In fact, it's one of the principal pillars of building a long-term business. The problem with focusing too much on customer acquisition is that maybe from a short-term point of view, it's positive in terms of revenue. It's very transactional in that sense, but the problem with that is it's just that it's very transactional. There's no relationship building aspect to it. When we think of businesses that deploy really strong brands, we know that there is a lot of merit in focusing on branding, and in 2024 that sentiment will be echoed. Use case, when we think of companies like Apple, Nike, Gucci, and even Patagonia, the first thing that comes to mind is not really their product line. When you're buying an iPhone, you're not buying it to text or call someone. You're buying it because of the underlying statement that it evokes. And that's what branding can do for you. And that's what branding does for a marketer. Next is becoming a data analyst, becoming a better data analyst. So as marketers, more so than ever, coming into 2024, we have to be able to not only justify our role and our responsibilities, but really be able to connect what we do to the bottom line growth of the business, or in layman terms, how do we actually increase revenue for the business, right? And that really entails two things. First is being better at attributing our marketing campaigns through the various marketing channels that we use. And second is being able to analyze the data that we get and really extract insights that can further optimize those campaigns and further connect it to the revenue of the business. We can't just be marketers. In 2024, you have to be a marketer that can really analyze data and better provide tangible outputs in the things that you deploy. Next is growth as a unified theme, cross-collaboration in effect. So this is a concept that I try to deploy in all that I do when I'm working within the various marketing roles that I've been a part of. And it's a very high friction point because a lot of businesses this is a theme that they don't have implemented by design, unfortunately. Especially the bigger the company gets, teams become more segmented, so as roles and especially results. And so as a marketer in 2024, you want to be able to at least have an understanding of how you affect growth of the business, right? Very similar and interlinked to what we've said previously. And part of that is being able to cross-collaborate with different teams, understand what they do, and more so have a perspective and how marketing can improve that particular aspect. How can you help the sales team? How can you help stakeholders? How can you better help your data teams, so on and so forth. Just by having this mindset of cross-collaborating and really helping other teams in their growth makes you stand out as a marketer. And I am telling you now, people will pay a lot of money for someone who can unify growth in a company. it might as well be you. Next is every business has to be a trusted content machine. Now, this might seem trivial, especially if you work within the B2B space, but the fact is content marketing is a way to alleviate the mistrust of users and build trust with those users or those customers. So when we think of the buying behavior of people, not just in 2023, but since the manifestation of the internet or information age, customers are a lot more savvier, they're a lot smarter, they do a lot more research. There's a lot more social proof needed before they even engage with the brand. And there's a lot more mistrust, right? There's a lot more options, so they're a lot more overwhelmed. And on that note, content marketing, preferably content marketing that one can trust, is one of the primary ways of building that connection with your customers. Use case, a lot of big brands are doubling down on their content marketing and even seeing it as one of their primary drivers of revenue. So brands like Canon, Adobe, GoPro, and Atlassian, to name but a few. Again, resources below for further reading into the topic if you're interested. Content marketing really builds trust with your customers. Next is the more strategic use of artificial intelligence, having a human perspective. So we've seen that in the year 2023, every marketer, at least that I know of, is at least aware of artificial intelligence tools like ChatGPT or maybe Canva with their new AI offering. But the problem is, at least in my case, whenever I engage in content that is either in written, audio, or video format, within seconds, I can usually tell if it's AI driven, which does two things. One is that it makes me less invested or engaged in the content. And second is that there's my trust with that specific brand, or let's say that YouTube channel, does decrease. Upon my research, I understand that AI can really provide incorrect information or misinformation. So if you are going to use artificial intelligence, make sure that there's some sort of a compliance process or quality assurance process before it even gets into the public. Hence why still having a human perspective, or at least leading the front of marketing, is going to be more an important theme in 2024. You have to think of AI as acting as more of a supporting role rather than leading initiatives, right? It's really great at ideating and helping you come up with ideas, but in terms of finalizing or making those ideas more concrete, it has to be driven by you, the marketer. Human perspective equals gold. We'll talk about that more in a couple of seconds, but perspective can turn into an idea, which can turn into a great idea, and a great idea can potentially turn into great results. And that can only be driven by human perspective, at least up until artificial general intelligence comes about. Next is more Martech tools. So this is something I have a gripe with. The vast amounts of tools out there for marketers being improved upon and being released is a lot. It can get overwhelming quite easily. Even if you just search the term CRM tools in Google, you'll get hundreds of different tools out there, and they essentially all do the same thing. But in 2024, we have to accept as marketers that we're going to have to learn more new tools. We're going to have to master the tools at our disposal before they master us. We have to learn to become more technical savvy in that sense, especially if you want to stand out in the marketplace, and especially as the world becomes more digitalized. Next is goodbye to third-party cookies, maybe. So we've heard talks of Google completely removing or at least disallowing third-party cookies from, I would say, the year 2020 onwards, but that is actually happening at least from January 4th of 2024 this year. Again, resources below for further reading. And with that change, we're going to see a lot more businesses appreciate and utilize their first-party data. And when we talk about first-party data, what that means is data that the company has acquired and that they have permission to market to, essentially. And so they'll be able to use that first-party data a lot more dynamically in a much more personalized way. And we're already seeing a software like Twilio, which is a customer engagement platform, utilize that same sentiment with AI in order to help marketers create more personalized experiences for their users. So going on a tangent here, I do think that data privacy is more of even though people do worry about data privacy, a lot of the consensus is that a lot of people don't understand how these companies are utilizing their data. But the fact is, a lot of these companies do mention those points within their terms and conditions when we sign up to their platforms. Let's be honest, who really reads T's and C's nowadays, right? So I do think that data privacy is more of a trust building agenda from these companies. The fact is, we don't really know how they're fully utilizing our data. And even if we did, maybe there's not so much we can do about it because we're upon the mercy of those companies. We're forced to use their platforms at least every day in my case. We'll start to see the disappearance of third-party cookies, and that will have, unfortunately, a negative detriment to a lot of marketing attribution, at least in the short term. But there are talks of Google creating more verified and more relevant audience segments for us marketers. So we'll see how that pans out in 2024. Next is social commerce, the age of partnerships. So in 2024, we're going to see the rise of influencer marketing and general partnerships between brands and individuals rise in traction. We are already seeing, at least in countries like China, for fashion brands like Shein, really utilize and become successful with influencer marketing. We look at a brand like Shein, which is a fashion brand. They essentially use social media influencers or famous stars to promote their products using social media platforms like TikTok Live, Instagram Live, and that does really well for them from a revenue point of view because of two reasons. The first one being that when you have a person demoing or using the product live, it increases social proof, right? So it builds a bit of trust between the customer and your brand. And second is that because there's a reduced friction point between the user being interested in the product and then eventually buying the product, that tends to increase bottom line revenue because it increases conversions and conversion rates. If you increase the intent of the user and if they click on the product that's being demoed or being promoted within the social media platforms live offering, or let's say if it's being demoed or promoted within Instagram Live and it directly goes to the checkout page, that reduces friction point from a buyer's point of view, which tends to increase conversions, like I said. Beyond that, it's not really direct to consumer focused. I think the age of partnerships and social commerce can be deployed within a B2B point of view. So my prediction is that in 2024, we're going to see a lot more brands partner up with different verticals that are relevant within their business. That could even be, collaborating with their competitors on a research piece or a content piece, maybe even merging with those competitors. Because in 2024, the most important currency is being able to garner and gain attention, and more importantly, gain influence in terms of changing your customers' buying behaviors. Finally, omnichannel marketing is the only way forward. So what does that mean? Practically speaking, if you work within marketing, you're going to have a few roles and responsibilities in the company, but being able to at least understand how your marketing efforts are holistically affecting other channels will have a lot of merit. And again, this ties back down to the theme of how marketing affects the bottom line revenue or growth of the business. We're going a bit more zoomed in that sense. That use case, if you're a performance marketer, you might want to have to start looking at how you can help product positioning, how do you help product marketing, or if you're an email marketer, you start to have an understanding or influence into how to improve the customer lifetime value of particular audience segments. Maybe you'll be A/B testing different landing pages, for example. The point is, great marketing is always looking at a holistic point of view, right? As a marketer in 2024, you want to be able to understand how your efforts are affecting other channels within marketing. And I think in conclusion, output as a marketer isn't always tangible. Output for a marketer doesn't always need to be action-based. Output could mean perspective, right? And as a marketer, is really for a lot of what we do, it's very perspective based, it's very opinionated, it's very subjective. As a consultant, people and businesses will pay you for perspective. And the reason being is perspective can turn into an idea, and an idea can turn into a great idea. And a great idea with the right execution can turn into great results for the business. And as a marketer, the wider your perspective is, the more valuable you'll become, especially in 2024, where everything is just becoming more saturated. Having an individual perspective, having a wider point of view as a marketer in 2024 helps you become a better marketer overall, right? You get to see a more omnidirectional view of the world, of your business, and of your responsibility. Thanks for watching the video. Till next time, peace.